Okay, we're going to take a look at yesterday's work first. Lesson 7.1, single and multi-word prepositions. You were supposed to underline the prepositional phrase and then circle the preposition. All right, easier than it sounds, but let's take a look at these. Many species of jellyfish are found throughout the world's oceans. Okay, so many species of jellyfish. Of is your preposition. That's the one that I told you would have to remember. The others you can figure out, can I go that way? Can I go throughout? Yes, you can. And some of you do. You go throughout your whole life without realizing how important some things are. All right, so many species of jellyfish. Of is a preposition that should have been circled. Of jellyfish is the whole prepositional phrase that should have been underlined. And there was a second one in that sentence, throughout the world's oceans. Throughout is your preposition. Circle that. Throughout the world's oceans. That is your whole prepositional phrase. That should be underlined. All right. Number 2. According to one source, jellyfish are also known as medusa. According to, that's your two-word preposition. According to one source, that is the entire prepositional phrase. So circle according to, and then underline according to one source. Number 3, the jellyfish that are common to most coastal waters are the Cycophozoan jellyfish. Right, the jellyfish that are common to most coastal waters. To is your preposition, circle that. To most coastal waters, that's your prepositional phrase. Underline that. Number 4, during the spring, the number of jellyfish increases in response to an increase in food. Holy cow, we got a lot of prepositions there. During, that's your first one. During should have been circled. During the spring, that's the prepositional phrase. Underline it. The number of jellyfish. Of is your preposition. Of jellyfish is the prepositional phrase. Increases in response to. Wow, that's a tough one because in is a preposition, to is a preposition. In response to, that whole thing should be circled and then underline in response to an increase in food, and then circle in as your preposition. That's a tough one. You might need to rewind this back to hear it again. Number 5, over the course of the summer, jellyfish remain plentiful. Over is a preposition. Of is a preposition. Those should be circled. Over the course should be underlined. Of the summer should be underlined. Actually, you could have an argument that the whole thing, over the course of the summer, is a huge prepositional phrase. But tomorrow I will show you why that is not. It is actually two separate prepositional phrases. All right, number 6. Because of the decline in food sources, jellyfish numbers decline in the fall and winter. All right, because of, that's your preposition, circle them. The decline in food sources, in is a preposition, circle it. Jellyfish numbers decline in the fall and winter. In is a preposition, so circle it. What should be underlined for number 6? Because of the decline in food sources, that whole thing, and in the fall and winter, that whole thing should be underlined. Those are your prepositional phrases. Number 7, jellyfish function by means of a web of nerves. They have no brain. Interesting. All right, by means of, that's a preposition. Circle all three of those. And then of, nerves. Of is your preposition. Circle that. But underline all of that. By means of a web of nerves. Underline all of that as a huge prepositional phrase. Number 8, instead of lungs, they simply absorb oxygen from the water around them. All right, instead of, that is a preposition, circle it. From is a preposition. Around is a preposition. Underline instead of lungs. Underline from the water around them. Number 9, jellyfish may move through the water with contractions and stretches. All right, so through is a preposition, circle it. With is a preposition, circle it. Through the water with contractions and stretches, all of that, please underline it. And then on the bottom there, with the current, with is your preposition. With the current is a prepositional phrase. Underline that. So circle with, underline with the current. Number 10, young jellyfish are tiny polyps that attach to the sea bottom. Young jellyfish are tiny polyps that attach to the sea bottom. To is your preposition. Circle it. To the sea bottom. Underline it. That's your whole prepositional phrase. Number 11, when they reach a couple of millimeters, they float off into the water. Of is your preposition, and into is also a preposition. So those two should be circled. Of millimeters, prepositional phrase, underline it. Into the water, prepositional phrase, underline it. And then number 12, most jellyfish aren't dangerous, but people avoid them on account of their painful sting. Sounds dangerous to me, but let's look for the preposition on account of. Circle that, and then underline on account of their painful sting, the whole thing. That's your prepositional phrase. All right, the second part of that, you were supposed to fill in with your own prepositions. My mother and I walked blank the garden, walked through the garden, walked around the garden, walked in the garden. Any of those would work. Okay, all of those you need to provide your own. I know some of you still don't like to do those, or you think that you can skip them. Please don't do that. Go ahead and finish those if you haven't. All right, now today's lesson is your very next page. It's lesson 7.2. And it is troublesome prepositions. And what it is, it's because we speak incorrectly so often that it sounds right. For instance, quite often we will say, where are you at? You don't end the sentence with a preposition. That would be incorrect. That's troublesome. But because we say it so much, it sounds right, even though it isn't really right. Here are 2 exercises for you on 7.2, and I want you to do the best that you can with these. You guys are pretty bright. Some of these you're going to get, some of these you're going to miss, and that's okay. Remember what I always say. I don't mind you making mistakes, because then the next day we can correct those mistakes and you'll learn from them. What I do mind is if you say, oh, this is too hard, I'm not going to do it, or I don't understand it, I'm going to skip it. Don't do that, because you're wasting your time. You think, okay, well, I'll just get the correct answers next time. Well, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not going to learn. All right, so do 7.2 today, and then tomorrow we'll check in again, and I'll help you out with that before we start our new diagram unit. Have a good day.